Hoping that maybe, just maybe, for tomorrow's slate, we can get some competitive basketball and not random blowouts. Maybe? Please? Welcome, guys. My name is DK. We'll be breaking down the two-game slate in this one for Daily Fantasy Sports. If you guys are a first-time user, I cover content for Draftkings, Prize Picks, No House Advantage. No House Advantage, they are the sponsor of the video. If you guys are not on No House Advantage, or you're not familiar with No House Advantage, it's a player prop site you can play pick'em style, where you're playing versus other people, or you can play versus the house. They have slightly different payout structures as opposed to Prize Picks. And if you guys want to give it a try, you can use the code DKDFS for 100% match up to $100. I'll put a link down below. Would definitely recommend take advantage of that free money. They had a free square today in LeBron James over 0.5 points. They are doing that a lot as well. So keep an eye out. Make sure to follow them on Twitter. And again, if you're not on it, use my code for that free money. But so recapping tonight, I had Draymond Green. It was so incredibly frustrating. Massive foul trouble, barely played, plus blowout. I also had his over assist prop. So just another night to forget. When games turn into random blowouts, most of the time I'm not going to have a very good night. So hope you guys had a better night than myself. And let's talk about the slate. So Boston Philly is the first game here. On the Boston side, they're going to run a pretty tight rotation. If you take a look at last game for Boston, they played 8 guys. No real surprise. Grant Williams did play a lot more than he was projected for. And I thought that. A lot of sites had Grant Williams projected for 5 10 minutes. And I was like, I think he plays high teens, low 20s minutes. He ended up playing, I think, 23 minutes. So, again, a lot of the sites were off on his minutes, but he did play way more than most people expected. And that's kind of what I thought would happen with Grant Williams. But popping guys, Tatum and Brown, pretty easy to talk about. You should see low 40s minutes from both. Obviously, the floor plus ceiling's a little bit higher on Tatum as opposed to Brown. But Brown still is a guy that can go for 50 plus anytime he touches the court. So no real hot takes in either. I do think both will be relatively low owned because we have the late game. I'm expecting the studs to be a lot more popular in that game. So, I think Tatum and Brown will be relatively low owned. Makes them solid GP plays. As far as the rest of Boston goes, the bigs are fine. Horford should play low 30s minutes if he can stay out of foul trouble. I think he's reasonable. Robert Williams is 4.3K. Did get a little bit banged up last game. Dealt with some foul trouble, only played 16 minutes. I think most of the time he's probably going to play low 20s minutes. And then you should get a little bit of Grant Williams as well. He played 23 minutes last game. So all of the Boston bigs, I think, are viable at their price points. And the guards, you have Brogdon, you have Smart, you have White. Once again, this will be interesting for ownership purposes. So last slate, it was Derek White that got a lot of the ownership. And I was like, I prefer Malcolm Brogdon to him. Brogdon ended up outscoring him at much lower ownership. They're all pretty similar price points again. So once again, it'll kind of come down to ownership for me for GPPs with what I want to do with these Boston guards. If I had to guess, I would say since Derek White has the shooting guard eligibility, he'll probably be the highest owned once again of this three of Brogdon, Smart, and White. But all three have a pretty similar outlook, in my opinion. All three have a pretty similar ceiling. So usually if I'm playing one of those Boston guards, it comes down to ownership for tournaments. Let's move on to Philadelphia. So last game, again, Tobias saw some foul trouble. Melton got extended because of that. I don't think we can expect Tobias foul trouble again. Joel Embiid, he had a pretty solid game. Went for 61 fantasy points in 39 minutes. Still looked a little bit banged up, but it is a sub 10K Joel Embiid. Once again, I think he'll be relatively low owned. He was about I think 8% last slate. He was really low owned. He was projected for no ownership. So I like Embiid for tournaments. I think most people will be looking to the stars in the late game with Denver and Phoenix. So I think the early game stars are going to be a lot lower owned. Harden at 8.6, back-to-back horrific shooting games for him. 2 of 14, 3 of 14. But still a guy that's doing it with kind of stuff in the stat sheet. So if you get a game where Harden is shooting well, he could break the slate at this price point. So he's another intriguing tournament play for me. Maxey and Harris are kind of just like their filler plays. You should see high 30s to low 40s minutes from Maxey. Harris still has some foul trouble, but he should play probably mid-30s minutes. Has a nice eligibility. So no real hot takes there. Melton got extended last game because of Tobias foul trouble, so I'd be a little bit careful. He also had 4 steals and a block. So most of the time, you're probably getting low 20s minutes from Melton, which I think makes him a solid value. But because of last game, I think he'll probably be a bit over-owned. We have seen that consistently in the playoffs, where recency bias just plays a little bit more of a factor in the postseason than it does in the regular season. But I like Melton, but I do think he'll be a bit over-owned in tournaments. PJ Tucker, kind of just a filler play. He'll play, I don't know, mid-20s minutes, played 25 minutes last game. I mean, it's PJ Tucker, right? You're not going to be excited about that. And then you'll probably see a little bit of McDaniels, a little bit of Niang. Paul Reed will play the backup 5. If you look at the price points, Paul Reed is 3.9, so he'll probably play whatever Joel Embiid does not play. McDaniels is 3.1. He played 11 minutes last game. Niang's 3.2. Played 19 minutes last game. Again, he got extended also a bit because of Tobias foul trouble, so nothing I really feel good about with the cheap end guys for Philly. And then Denver and Phoenix, so I expect this game to be a lot more popular for DFS. Jokic at the top at 10-9. Should be one of the more popular spend ups. 73, 80 fantasy points over the last couple games. He's been playing out of his mind. Also 17 assists, 17 rebounds. Just insane here for Nikola Jokic. So if you have the salary for him, I think he looks great. And I think Jamal Murray looks good at sub 8K price point. He's going to play low 40s minutes. It's just that like the Denver offense. So like it's a 2-man game between Murray and Jokic for most of the time Denver is playing. That is their offense. It's Jamal Murray. It's Nikola Jokic. So I like both quite a bit. Once again, I think it's a little bit easier to get to Murray since he's sub 8K. But if you have the salary, I like Jokic quite a bit. Gordon dealt with some foul trouble. Still played 39 minutes. I think he's a fine filler play. Michael Porter Jr., of course, goes for 41 fantasy points. But when I play him as a super sharp play, the previous slate at negative ownership, you better believe he gets benched and doesn't come back and goes for 13. If he would have won for 41 last slate, I could have won a tournament. But no. He has to get benched the one time I play him. So I like Michael Porter Jr. in tournaments. His minutes a little bit uncertain. Bruce Brown, KCP, I think are both pretty solid values. You should see low to mid-20s minutes for Bruce Brown. KCP has been closing recently, played 34 minutes last game. The only issue with KCP is he's pretty score independent, but he's knocking down the shots. He can definitely get you there. Then you'll see a little bit of Jeff Green, a little bit of Christian Brown. I have no confidence in either of these guys, but they will be in the rotation. And finally, the Phoenix Suns. So once again, no Chris Paul. And the Suns, well, they rode with the hot hand outside of their main guys. And that's what I expected. I was hammering that home in the Patreon stream, how I did not want to play chalk value Okogie because I told everyone, they're going to go with whoever plays best of the rotation players. They will ride with those guys. And they did with a guy like TJ Warren, almost played 30 minutes. So that was my big stand last slate in tournaments, was to not play 50% Okogie. 50% Okogie went for 3 fantasy points. That was huge. But the top end guys, Booker and KD, both will be popular. Must-win game here for Phoenix still. You're going to see 45 minutes, I think, for both, assuming no foul troubles. I really like Booker. I really like KD. Both do more ball handling without Chris Paul. They both look great at their price points. They're going to be popular, though. They will be popular. So you're not going to get different by playing these Sun stars. But, huge minutes and just doing everything right now for the team. DeAndre Ayton, well, he got benched last game for Jock Landale because he played so bad. I think he's fine. Most of the time, he should play mid-30s minutes. So he'll probably be a bit under-owned because of last game. Campaign started, played 30 minutes, and not the best shooting game. Was kind of an afterthought offensively, but I still think he's like a solid play in the mid-range. Assuming he starts again and gets around 30 minutes, I still think Campaign's a decent play, even though he's a bit of a letdown. And then, so the rest of the bench. Damian Lee, I don't even think played last game. He did not. He got a DNP. You saw a couple minutes for Landry Shamet, or actually more than that, 25 minutes for Landry Shamet, but he didn't do much with those minutes. Josh Okogie started, played 10 minutes. You saw, Torrey Craig play 3 minutes. Jock Landale actually closed, played 22 minutes. I don't think we'd expect that again, but he did play the backup 5, and Landale's not a bad point per minute guy, so I guess he's playable. You saw TJ Warren get the most, he played 26 minutes. And then you saw some Terrence Ross, too. You saw a little bit of Terrence Ross in the rotation. He played 14 minutes. So, once again, it's my same breakdown for the Suns of if I'm going to play one of these value plays, I'm not going to play a popular one. Want to know why? Because Phoenix, they're going to go with the hot hand. So if the value play is popular and they struggle, they can easily get benched like a Koji last slate. So I don't think you have to play one of these Suns value plays. But if I was to go to one of Ross, Warren, Craig, Koji, Shaman, if I was to go to one of those guys, it's going to be a low on one. It's not going to be the one that gets the most ownership. So that's just my take on the Suns. They're going to ride the hot hand. Basically, outside of Booker and KD, Ayton should close. You should expect him to play low to mid-30s minutes. And you should expect probably 25 to 30 minutes from Payne. The rest, I have no idea. They will go with whoever is playing well. So that's my take on the Suns value. That's going to do it for the video, guys. I hope this helps. Let's just hope we can get some close games tomorrow. I want to watch competitive basketball. I don't want to watch blowouts, so that would be very, very appreciative. Also, for my bankroll as well, no random blowouts, please. Enjoy the rest of your night, guys, and we'll see you all in the next video.